Hi folks, Chef Ian here, and again we're in the Cooks Collective, and this is recipe number 5 for the 7 meal challenge using the $10 chicken from Aldi. So today I'm going to do ramen, and one of the things that I found is on my trip to Japan last year, the popularity of ramen, and the thing that makes ramen so great in Japan is the stock. So if you saw the start of the series where I made the stock up from the leftover carcass and the bones and veggie scraps, we made the soup. I've got some stock left over, so that's going to be part of the hero of this dish. So I'm going to get that on the stove first, bring to boil. So it's basically half a litre of our homemade chicken stock. So we're going to get that on the stove, bring it up to boil. So, ramen itself, I'm sure you've all bought these 3.5 packet noodles of ramen. And I must admit, as a kid, I loved them. But one of the things that I find a little bit hard now is the soup base that they provide in these. Lots of what I call unnecessary additives, flavour enhancers, all sorts of stuff. So it's not just the Western diet that's got problems with, as I said, unnecessary ingredients. Obviously happens in Eastern food as well. So what we're doing today is we're discarding that. We're not going to use that at all, but we are going to use the ramen. So as I said, our ramen is there. We're obviously using our chicken. So this is our chicken breast that we've taken from the roast chicken. I've got some choy sum and some pak choy. I'm looking to add some green or some vegetable component to this. So we've got our protein, so I'm just looking for some more vitamins and minerals. We're going to put some bean sprouts in there and spring onion to garnish. To flavour up our stock, even though our stock, as I said, has got lots of things in it, I'm going to use just a little bit of thick soya sauce. So that's the sweet soya. And at the end of the meal, traditionally in Japan, you would be offered this. This is called shijimi togarashi. This is their spice mix that they put on top or sprinkle on top of the ramen to give it a bit of a hit. You could also use, if you wanted to have a little bit of a hit, the sriracha sauce. It's something, again, I use in my cooking. And if you really want a real super hit, from the Saucy Wench, which is available in our pantry at Underground Chef, is the green sambal. A spoon of that into your noodles at the end will give you that hit. So it's a pretty simple dish, and if you've cooked noodles at home yourself, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Pot of water, throw the noodles in, throw your soup mix in, 3.5 minutes, pour it out, away you go. We're just going to add to that, as I said, nutritionally. You can do other things as well to this, and you don't have to just use these veg. You could use beans, you could use snow peas, anything you like, but we're really, as I said, trying to put a vegetable component in it to balance out the meal. I've seen boiled eggs, hard-boiled eggs served with this, very similar to what, the Malaysian laksa. I've even seen raw egg thrown into this as well, but we're not going to be doing that today, but give you some other ideas of actually how you can increase the protein. All right, so our soup base has come up to boil, so pretty straightforward. Drop the noodles in and let them cook. So while they're just going to soften up and break down, I'm just going to get our green veg here, and I'm just going to break it down into, I guess, smaller pieces. We don't want big hunks of veg. It's going to be a bit too hard to eat. So I'm just cutting those down. We're going to give that noodles about a minute or two head start. I'm just going to slice up our spring onion as well while that's happening. This is going to be our garnish on top of our noodles. So that's all done. All right, so when you get to the stage where your noodles actually start breaking apart like they're doing now, I just sort of separate them a bit. And now I'll throw in our veg, the green veg. So we're just going to let that cook up with our noodles. That'll come back up to the boil pretty quickly. So we're about 1 minute in on our cooking of our noodles. Let's the rest of that veg in. Okay, so whilst that's cooking away there, so our chicken, so this is roughly about 100 grams of the chicken that we've taken off the breast of our meat. So we're just going to sit that in, and that's going to absorb the flavour. Of our chicken. All right. It's cooking away nicely there. Same thing, I guess, when you're cooking Asian noodles or you're cooking, you know, pasta, is you don't want to overcook. So the last thing we want is soggy noodles. You still want, as I said, our ramen still with a little bit of crunch in it. But that's absorbing all those flavours really lovely. And you get that beautiful aroma from that. So the only thing that I'm going to add to this, and I'll just taste this now and just see how it's going. We do need a little bit of soya. So rather than, as I say, Japanese soy sauce, I'm using the thick, sweet soya that you'll see in Indonesian food. So drizzle all of that through. It's just going to give us a little bit of richness that that only soya can bring. So I think we're getting pretty close to, let me just grab some of this. Sort of like the al dente. That's fine. So we're going to turn off the heat. I've got our serving bowl here. And I'm going to use tongs here to do this part. I'm just going to lift out ramen. As much as possible. And then our green veg. Our chicken. Again, it's about presentation of the meal. So we're trying to make it as attractive to the eye as possible. Now I'm just going to pour in our soup. Now, most of that green veg we'll put in there. last remnants of that. Our bean sprouts are just going to sit on top, and they can be stirred into the soup base. A spring onion as well, just to sit on top. And there we have it, folks. There's our bowl of ramen. We're using our homemade chicken stock, and that's taken roughly 5 minutes to make. So much better if you're making it from the fresh stock than using the packet mix that comes in it. So again, we don't want to avoid, as I said, those nasties that are in convenience foods, but you've got a beautiful, nutritious bowl of ramen, lots of vitamins, lots of minerals. You've got the protein there from the chicken, plus as well from that beautiful homemade stock. Again, if you're in Japan, we would serve this traditionally with a sprinkle of shijimi over the top, and as I said, that's just going to give that a little bit of spice to it. Or if you prefer, you can use, as I said, the sriracha. You want a real flavour hit and a real heat, use the green sambal. But that's it, folks. That is meal number 5. Again, the challenge was to make this for under $5. We've certainly come under that. You've got a beautiful bowl of Japanese style ramen using homemade stock. Follow this recipe, so simple, and it's a great way that you can get a beautiful Japanese style dish at home, as I said, using some simple ingredients. So stay tuned tomorrow as I'll do recipe number 6 as we come towards the end of the 7-meal challenge. So enjoy, and in Japan we would say ikitagimasu. Please enjoy. All the best. See you next time.